The Boston Red Sox have reunited with James Paxton just a few days after we were talking about him potentially returning. He is now returning. James Paxton back on the Boston Red Sox, and although we don't know what for yet, he is going to be returning to the team. So, Jeff Passan just reporting that the Boston Red Sox have acquired James Paxton as he was just sent through DFA process, designated for assignment, so he was going through waivers. Red Sox were able to circumnavigate that and trade for him so he doesn't have to go through waivers, and the Red Sox will get James Paxton. Hello, everyone. I'm Evan Sharrard. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Red Sox Digest. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel to make sure that you are keeping up with the latest with the Red Sox. Trade deadlines in just 4 days, and James Paxton is the first trade of what I hope to be many for the Boston Red Sox. So, what is my first reaction to this trade? How do we feel about all this? James Paxton is going to be coming back to the Boston Red Sox, and frankly, this is a good trade. I don't think it's a great trade. It's not a slam dunk or a grand slam home run in terms of trades here, but James Paxton will definitely help the Red Sox, but how much is the question here? So we've got his stats brought up right now. Let's take a look. We talked about these the other day, but if you didn't see the video, these are James Paxton's stats from the last 2 seasons. He's played plenty in the major leagues, but last year he was with Boston the full season. He had a great first half, but the second half he tapered off and finished with a 4.5 ERA. And like I like to say, anything over 5 is not good. Anything over 4.5 is bad. Anything below 4 is good. Anything below 3.5 is pretty good, and anything below 3 is fantastic. So there you have it. James Paxton was okay last season, and he's been okay this year, except for that walks number. You see BB right there next to SO and HR in between home runs allowed and strikeouts. He has walked 48 batters. BB means base on balls, which is just a walk. His ERA plus is also below average. League average is 100. Anything above is above. Anything below is below league average. So 90, 10 points below league average, and that's not great either. But the point of bringing Paxton in, to me, is a familiar face who can get going right away and be a hopefully meaningful part of this Red Sox team. So Paxton's upside, I'm going to say, is good. He might be a 5 spot, a 4 spot if he's playing out of his mind. And the Red Sox weren't expecting to get his best last season, but they did for the majority of the season. And the second half came on, and he wasn't, and he didn't return. But that is pretty much it for James Paxton. I think his ceiling is going to be a guy who could be a 2 spot on some teams. He might dip that ERA below 3 if he has an elite second half. But where I think he'll more realistically fall is, I think he'll falter around the low 4 ERA to mid 4 ERA, and at worst he'll blimp up to 5 and be even worse than he was on the Dodgers. So overall, I say this is a good move. I don't know what the Red Sox gave up yet because it hasn't been reported, but like I said in the video the other day, the Red Sox should hopefully not give up anything more than a prospect who is unlikely to turn out. Their Dodgers are taking a flyer on a guy because they were DFAing him. They weren't going to get anybody in return, so might as well get this guy who could turn out. So hopefully that's what the Red Sox gave up. We're going to take a look at that when it's reported, but for now, let's take a look at James Paxton's overall impact on the team. We mentioned what we think he's going to look like, but what he will actually look like immediately is a different story. So we're back to the graphics here, and we're going to just bring up his baseball reference before, and now we're bringing up his baseball savant. So I mentioned this all before in the video before, but all of these numbers are percentile rankings, and if it doesn't really matter if you understand what those means. This is going to be very quick. These are all percentiles, so he's in the 16th percentile, meaning 84% of Major League Baseball pitchers are better than him at expected ERA. So basically, there is one stat in here where he's above the 50th percentile, which is his arm extension. And that really just means that, hey, the batter might think that the pitch is a little faster. It'll appear faster to him than if he had a shorter arm extension, even though he's only throwing 92. And if that doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. Because basically what this graphic is saying is, in layman's terms, James Paxton has not been good this year. Straight up. That's what it is. So his impact on the Red Sox is going to be that 5-spot starter. I'm guessing that that's where he'll probably stick, and then the Red Sox can DFA him if he doesn't play well, and of course they can move him wherever they want if he's playing well. It's a really low risk move for the Red Sox, which is why this move is overall perfect. It's perfect because you get a guy that's going to be a major league level pitcher, and you are either going to get really lucky, you're going to get exactly what he was, or you're going to get really unlucky. And if you get unlucky, it's fine because you didn't really give up anything for him. So it's just good to take that risk. Maybe he turns out, maybe he doesn't, and maybe he's just what he is right now. I personally love James Paxton, so I'm rooting for him and hoping for the best, not just because I'm a Red Sox fan, but because this guy is a hard worker, and I think he's very admirable for all of what he put in for the Red Sox the past 2 years. Those who didn't know, he was injured. He decided to stay with the team instead of going back into free agency, even though he hadn't played a game with them. And then he played really well for a team that wasn't very good last year, and he stuck it out the whole way through, even though he did taper off towards the end of the season. So these guys are people. Remember that. These guys are people. They're not just players. So I have a lot of respect for everybody in the major leagues. That's an incredible feat, but especially for James Paxton in this case. So really rooting for him. And let's get into some other possible trade targets for the Boston Red Sox. What is next for this team? And oh boy. So first of all, let's just take a look at James Paxton's stats. These are his basic stats, but these other graphics that I'm about to show you are guys that I'm thinking the Red Sox are going to go after, because James Paxton is a 5-4 spot, but the Red Sox need help in starting pitching right now. And so what does that mean? That means that we're probably going to be going after guys like Tanner Scott in the bullpen. We'll get back to him, but Eric Fetty in the starting rotation. He's on the White Sox, the worst team in baseball by far. Over 70 losses. No team's close to that right now. And he's sporting a below 3 ERA, which is very good. And he is 31 years old, a veteran who's not going to be competing anytime soon for the White Sox. And it would behoove them to get rid of Fetty to bring in a veteran, or sorry, not to bring in a veteran. It'd be great for the Red Sox to bring in this veteran pitcher, Fetty, but it would be better for the White Sox to go get some prospects. And the Red Sox shouldn't have to give up all that much for Fetty, because really, Fetty is on a bad team. He's not under 30, even though he's close to it. And the Red Sox are probably going to be one of many teams competing for him, and that would be the only thing that I think would drive up the price for him is, okay, well, the Yankees are going to give us this for Fetty, and the Royals are going to give us this for Fetty. The Mariners, maybe, I don't know why they would want another starting pitcher, are going to give up this for Fetty, and that would drive the price up. But it shouldn't get too expensive, because Fetty's track record is not, oh, this guy's an elite pitcher. Right now, he's playing like he could be the 1 or 2 spot in your rotation, but realistically, is he going to be like that? Probably not. So when we take back a look at Eric Fetty, his contract is not longer than 2 more years for him. So he's a great option for the Red Sox to go and get for a starting pitcher that would really fit into the middle rotation. And then let's take a look at our friend here, Tanner Scott, who would be a great addition to that back end of the bullpen. And if you saw the last 5 Red Sox games, you'd know that their bullpen has been a major issue. Really, because of injury, Chris Martin and Justin Slayton are out right now. But adding a guy who has a great track record, like Tanner Scott, and a left-handed arm in that bullpen could be huge. He's had 44 innings pitched so far, plus 2 outs, 44.2. That's what the .2 means. Only allowed 2 home runs this year, and he's only allowed 18 hits in those innings. So he's been fantastic. He's got a whip under 1, which means walks/hits per innings pitched. So that's how many base runners are you allowing per inning? And he's allowing less than 1. So that's exceptional. And that 1.21 ERA is among the best in all of baseball. That is an elite number. I say anything below 3 is great. Anything below 2 is fantastic. I mean, that's rare that you see that. So Tanner Scott would be a great option for the Red Sox to add to the pen. He's an older guy, just over 30 by, only 4 days. And he will add a player that the Red Sox can hold on for a while and a bullpen arm of Tanner Scott's level. Mentioning that he's in the bullpen means that they're not going to get a ton for him. The Marlins are not a great team right now, which is why they'd be willing to get rid of him. And that would mean that the Red Sox could go ahead and decide, hey, you know what? We are going to part with one of our prospects, maybe not one of the top guys, but a guy you've heard of, maybe a Nick York, who is still one of the top prospects for the Red Sox, but not those top 3 guys that everyone likes to talk about: Marcelo Mayer, Roman Anthony, and Kyle Teal. So that's Tanner Scott. And then I have one more realistic option I'm thinking, which is going to be Tyler Anderson. And he should be cheaper because he's on the Angels. The Angels are currently out of the playoff race as of right now, unless they get really hot. And Tyler Anderson's got a sub-3 ERA. His ERA plus is 146, so he's 46 points above average this year, and he's 34 years old. And what I take from that is, okay, Tyler Anderson's a good target because, one, he's having a great year. He'll have a chance to compete for a title with the Boston Red Sox, and he's almost on the plus side of 30. He's got 1 year left until he's there at 35, and the Angels are probably not going to be competing and bringing him back. This guy's a guy that'll probably sign somewhere else relatively soon when his contract expires, and so it would be good for the Angels to get something for him, and it'd be great for the Red Sox because they'd add another pitcher, a lefty, mind you, and he would really bump up the middle of this rotation, especially for the playoffs. In the playoffs, pitching is what wins championships. They say defense wins championships. In other sports, pitching wins championships in baseball. You can hit the daylights out of the baseball, but if you can't pitch, you're not going to win a World Series. And most teams that win, I mean, I haven't seen an offense that's been so high flying while their pitching is terrible in the playoffs and they win. And it's proven every year. And now the last option is a little bit out there because I wanted to add somebody who the Red Sox could realistically get in a world where they're willing to part with anything in their minor league system. And I'm not saying, okay, they're going to get rid of all the top 3 guys, but maybe one of them parts in this deal. Maybe 2 if the Red Sox really, really like this guy. And the last guy is on the San Francisco Giants. He's a starting pitcher. He's having a slightly down year, and the Giants are as well. And the answer to who I'm talking about is Logan Webb, who has been the ace for the Giants for the past few years. And there's a reason I'm mentioning Logan Webb specifically. His ERA plus is only 3 above average so far, but he's shown in the past couple years that he is one of the best pitchers in baseball with the Giants. The Giants right now are not in the playoff hunt directly. Again, this is a similar situation to the Angels. If they get really hot, they'll be there. But they're competing with the Padres and the Dodgers for the top of that division, and they're still behind the Diamondbacks, who made the World Series last year. So they've got some teams in front of them that are going to be tough to beat out just to make the playoffs. And for Logan Webb, he's extended through the 2029 season. Logan Webb is a great pitcher for the Red Sox to add because he's only 27. He's almost 28. In just a couple weeks, in about 100 days. Completely forgot that there were 364 in a year. That's crazy. 365, rather. But Logan Webb, if you give up Kyle Teal, probably not Teal because they have Patrick Bailey at catcher right now, but maybe Marcelo Mayer or Roman Anthony. I'd really like to keep Mayer because he was our top pick a few years ago, and he's been highly touted for a while. But this move, the Red Sox like to talk about building for the future. This move really is building for the future because you're getting a guy that really maybe could be your number 1 pitcher. That guy's an ace. And this season he's not really playing like it, but I believe he will be back to that based on his track record. And the Red Sox are getting this guy for 5 more years after 2024, or they're getting him for 4 more because they have him through 2029, so they did 5 years from now. That is incredible. And if that does mean that you're compromising with getting rid of one of your farm system players, it does align with the Red Sox goals of we want to get better now, but we really want to build for the future as well. And Logan Webb would be part of that future. He's got a contract that has him extended through 2029. He is a great pitcher. He adds to this pitching staff. You don't have to worry about him going anywhere. And then you just start making that trade-off with one of your top-tier talents. So the last reason that Logan Webb would really fit in here is the Red Sox pitching coach is the same pitching coach that helped Logan Webb become an ace in San Francisco. When we hired Andrew Bailey, the Red Sox pitching coach now, he completely changed the way that we pitch this year. Instead of throwing fastball, breaking ball, or being fastball heavy, this team now throws, he goes in and he talks to these guys and he's like, what's your best pitch? Okay, that's what you're going to throw the most. Red Sox broadcasters have talked about it all season, and Logan Webb would be right at home with the Red Sox because Andrew Bailey's there. It'd be a familiar face in a fantastic place. So James Paxton is going to be the first pitcher we see on this Red Sox team. He's back. We'll figure out what they're getting for him, or what the Dodgers are getting for him in return soon. But Paxton should fill that 4 to 5 spot, and then hopefully we'll get some of these guys in the coming days. With just 4 days till the trade deadline, make sure that you keep tuning in. We'll have more videos out soon. Thank you for tuning in to Red Sox Digest, everyone. I'm Evan Sharrard saying so long.